Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Friday, and doing so today on a beautiful day in the capital city, live and direct from the concourse, the Buzz Evans concourse at Yager Stadium, home of the Washburn Ichabods, where tonight there will be spring football game action. Spring is in the air. Football is in the air for the Washburn Ichabods and the new look Bods, coached by Zach Watkins, making his debut as the Washburn head football coach. Going to be a great night out here at Yager Stadium. We want you to come out, check out the Bods, get a sneak peek at what things are going to look like by the time August 30th and week one roll around for the Bods. And so we are here with you for the next hour and a half on 580 Sports Talk. Hour and a half today. We're off early for Royals baseball. Royals open a 3-game set in Cleveland against the Guardians with a 5:10 Central Time first pitch tonight. That means we'll break away at 4:30 for the Royals Baseball Network to handle pregame coverage, and then 5:10 for that first pitch. So we are with you until 4:30, hanging out for the next hour and a half here at Yager Stadium. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski live at Yager Stadium. Spencer Dupuis back at the ranch up on Huntoon Hill, making sure we get on the air today. And Brendan, spring football, and we're going to see here tonight not a skills challenge or an autograph session or a fan fest or whatever it is that teams have turned their spring games into. We're going to see some pads popping. We're going to see a little bit of competitive football here for the Washburn Ichabods to get that first look at what Zach Watkins' program is going to be.
Yeah, and I know Coach is really fired up to have real game simulation stuff out here today. It's going to be a 4-quarter game, running clock, so it's not going to be a full-length game. We're not going to be here tonight for 3 hours, 15 minutes or anything like that, but it's going to be games set up, and they're going to do live tackling in the second and fourth quarters of this game. They'll do kind of, I think they're calling it thud during the first and third quarters. So,
sure.
A hit, a shove, something like that. But it's going to be live tackling in the second and fourth quarters, which I'm super excited about. There's a lot of players in this roster. We'll get to a few of them here in a minute that I'm excited to see out here for the first time, or to see what they've been able to do strength-wise, getting a little bit bigger, a little bit faster over the course of the winter and of the offseason. There's just a different energy for this group. And I don't mean that as a way to slight, the past staff and obviously Coach Schurig and his incredible tenure with this Washburn program, but it just feels like there's a renewed sort of vibrance around this program. I know Coach Watkins was working overtime to make sure everybody on campus, everybody in town knew this was happening today, what it was going to look like. I'm fired up. I'm excited about this. I know I was telling you a week or two ago, I almost felt a little football exhaustion, like, oh my God, the NFL season goes so long now, and it's on all the holidays,
Sure.
and the college season goes so long. Now I'm ready to go. I'm fired up about this.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun tonight. And the one thing that jumps out is we've got a copy of the roster, who's going to suit up tonight, who's going to play. There will be a Navy team and a white team, plus a handful of players that it'll go both ways. They're on what's called the gray team. So, but it'll be Navy versus white. And the first thing that jumped out to me, great big local presence. And a lot of kids that if you're a local high school football fan, you're going to recognize on these rosters.
Yeah, and that's something that I know Coach Watkins, he told me, he said it at the team banquet all the way back in December, January, whenever that was, that this team, they're going to fill some needs through the portal, but they want to be a high school-based roster, a high school-based program, and with that comes making sure that they win locally, that guys who are at Topeka high schools or around Shawnee County or just around Northeast Kansas, they're not going out of state or they're not going to the other schools around the state, that local guys are going to make a big impact on this team. You don't have to go much farther than just looking at the quarterback group. A couple guys we're going to see a ton today, Branton DeWeese, Keller Hurla. Keller Hurla was a state champion back in 2022 at St. Mary's. Branton DeWeese was a multi-time first-team all-county pick over at TopSports.news when he was at Washburn Rural, 3-year starter there. He's obviously a great player. Sam Van Dyne, who started most of this past really 2 seasons at this point. He's not from Kansas, but he's a Kansas City area guy. He's from Liberty North. You've got guys on the offensive line, defensive line, who are some young players, the Grimm brothers from up in Sabetha, who were phenomenal high school players. They're going to obviously make a big impact here. I'm excited to see the 2 of them on the line tonight. We could go through this entire roster and come up with guy after guy, Dan, just local impact everywhere, which is, I think, personally, the best way to start a new era with a program is to show your commitment to your local players.
And when you have a first-year head coach, nobody gets to take anything for granted. You might have been a starter under a previous regime. You might have felt like you had a role. And now you got to go out and earn it in the dirt again. Even though Zach Watkins obviously has the background, knowing these guys, having been on the staff under Craig Schurig before being elevated to be the new head coach. He's going to do it his way, and that means that if you're out there tonight wearing a Washburn football uniform, you're playing for a job. You're playing for a chance to make one last real good impression before the summer, and then everybody comes back for the fall, and that's when those real decisions get made. But you can stake a claim a little bit if you're any one of these guys. So everybody out there is going to come dressed to impress, so to speak. They're going to come out and try to put their best foot forward, try to really put forward an impressive performance that's going to stick in the back of Coach Watkins' mind by the time August 30th rolls around.
Well, and just off the top of my head, I think about a couple different positions that were, fortunate to a degree, but unfortunate going forward for this Washburn program this year, ravaged a little bit by the transfer portal with guys moving up to Division I. You look at Jaquez White on the defensive side at cornerback. Jaquez was one of the best cornerbacks in the country, and because of Washburn's record, he didn't get the notoriety that he should have gotten. There's a reason he was able to jump up to the FBS level right away after what he did in his sophomore season. Washburn had to mix a bunch of different dudes in at corner last year because of injuries in other spots. Braylon Alexander missed so much of the year. That's going to be a spot right away. If you show out here in the spring game, you're going to put yourself in a really favorable position come fall camp because we know some of those spots are up for grabs. Wide receiver as well. How about Trey Richardson going from Washburn to Vanderbilt? He's going to the SEC, Topeka kid. I mean, what an incredible story for Trey. And he's going to do a great job at Vanderbilt. You can't teach speed. And that dude's got SEC speed. There's no doubt about it. But that means there's a gaping hole now at that wide receiver spot where he was an All-American last year. So you've got opportunities there. You've got snaps that some guys, you look at a Trey Harmison, a Chase Allen Jackman, some of the guys who are on the fringes of the rotation this past year. This might be your opportunity to take over a starting role. One other name, just while we're going through a couple of key ones here, Dan. If you're coming to the game tonight, I'm going to ask you to look for number 8 on the field. He's going to play for the white team. You may have heard his name before, Kai Thomas, the greatest running back in Topeka high school football history. Number 2, if I'm not mistaken, running back in prep Kansas football history.
Yes.
Has played at the Power 4 level at Minnesota, then had 2 touchdowns in the Liberty Bowl for KU a couple of years ago, was playing in the MAC the last few seasons. I mean, we're talking about FBS Power 4 kind of talent here, hometown kid coming back to Topeka for his final season. I cannot wait to see Kai out there, man. I am so excited for him to be out here for Washburn.
Yeah, super cool to get a chance to see Kai put on for his hometown and represent as a Washburn Ichabod this season. That's going to be one of the big storylines, no doubt, to be following as we get into Ichabod football season. So 6 o'clock is when everything starts, and folks that come out here tonight, they're going to see some real football. We talked about that. What else can people expect?
So come out, you're obviously going to get a fun environment. I know that the game itself is going to be awesome. I know there's going to be a ton of people, community-wise. There may be some visitors as well who are, prospective Washburn students and possibly student athletes who are going to be out here for this event today. I know that the facility staff, the athletic department folks, they've done a bunch of stuff to make sure that this is a family-friendly environment, a fun environment. There's going to be games and stuff, and concourse is going to be buzzing all night long. So stop on by. It's free to come to, guys. There's no reason on this Friday night not to want to come out here, especially because we could not have possibly gotten better weather. There is not a single cloud in the sky above us right now, Dan.
No, it's 67. It's a pleasant breeze. It's going to be a really, really nice night. Come on out. It's going to be a great community happening here at Yager Stadium tonight to watch a little Ichabod football. So encourage folks to come out and join the Ichabods for some football at their spring game here tonight. We're going to talk to the head coach of the Ichabods, Zach Watkins. He's going to stop by in the 4 o'clock hour before we're done for the day. We'll get Zach's thoughts on what is to come tonight, and look forward to having Coach Watkins on the program. But first, we're going to take a quick timeout. We've got some Royals baseball to get to, big road trip starting tonight, and some bad injury news for the Royals before tonight's game. Also, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com is going to check in with us at the bottom of this hour, as he always does every Friday. We'll talk to Matt from ChiefsDigest.com, get his latest thoughts on anything going on in the Chiefs kingdom. We want to hear from you. Send us a text, 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Also, if you are watching on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel, jump on into the live chat. We'd love to hear from you, have you interact with us and your fellow listeners on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. We're with you until 4:30 this afternoon, live from Yager Stadium. So if you are filtering by Yager Stadium, getting set up early in the tailgate lot, come by and say hello to us while we're on the air bringing you 580 Sports Talk. We're back after this to talk some Royals baseball next here on 580 WIBW. Golf member, I get all kinds of great perks plus access to 5 outstanding courses. Go to GreatLifeSpeaker.com to learn more. .319 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting underway on this shortened edition of the program on this Friday. Again, we vacate the space at 4:30 this afternoon for the Royals Baseball Network to jump in. Pregame coverage from Progressive Field in Cleveland. A 5:10 first pitch tonight, first of three between the Royals and the Guardians. We are with you until 4:30. Coming to you live this afternoon from Yager Stadium, where the Washburn football spring game will take place at 6 o'clock tonight. Dan, Brendan, Spencer with you for the duration today. It's a big road trip for the Royals. 10-game roadie early on, and it's three teams that made the postseason last year. You've got Cleveland, you've got New York, and you've got Detroit back. It's a 4-game trip to Detroit, who right now, as we stand, leads the division by half a game, 7-5 to Kansas City, 7-6. Royals will have to navigate this stretch and possibly much longer without Hunter Harvey, the reliever who had gotten off to such a promising start in the 7th inning role in Matt Quatrero's bullpen this year, placed on the 15-day injured list earlier today with a teres major strain in his right arm. For those of you who do not have a copy of Gray's Anatomy handy and don't know what the teres major is, essentially it's something in your shoulder. And if you're dealing with a shoulder strain and you're a pitcher, that is, by definition, not what you want. there is a chance this could be, it depends on the severity of the strain, and nobody knows yet exactly the severity of the strain in Harvey's shoulder, but this could be one that knocks him out for a while and certainly changes the outlook for the Royals bullpen. You felt really good about the 7th, 8th, and 9th, the way that Harvey had come out throwing. He'd been terrific, hadn't allowed an earned run yet this season. Well, now going to have to depend a little more on guys like Angel Zerpa, John Schreiber, and Sam Long, potentially in some high-leverage situations. And I know that certainly for Long, it hasn't been the start to the season that he's wanted or that anybody expected after how well he pitched last year. But those guys are going to have to be leaned on a little bit more. And because of the platoon nature of those three guys I just mentioned, that may lead to Quatrero having to mix and match a little bit earlier and really play some platoon advantages in the 6th and the 7th. I do wonder if it might necessitate Urseg being used in even more of an extreme fireman role where we could maybe see him in the 7th, depending, is it a one-run game and it's the heart of the order? Maybe that's Urseg time in the 7th instead of the 8th. If, a team's maybe got some lefties at the back end of the order, then he can turn some guys around with Zerpa in the 8th or Schreiber in the 8th, but get the most important outs with your best guys. This is going to be a little trickier to manage, pun absolutely intended, for Matt Quatrero without Hunter Harvey.
Yeah, I'm right there with you when it comes to Lucas Urseg. I still think he's your best arm in the bullpen, even if he hasn't had, flawless command through the first couple weeks of the season. I still think he's your best bullpen arm when you factor in, the movement, the stuff, the velocity, the generally speaking control, all that. I think he's your best weapon there. And right now you are in a position where you need to match up your best weapon against the best counterattack that your opponent has. I guess your pitcher's the counterattack, but you don't understand what I mean. So I would lean with that. That would personally be my strategy. And we saw that last year, right? Like near the end of the year, Urseg was the closer, but really it was closing in the sense that, okay, when we need to get 3 outs the most, you're the guy who's going to go get us those 3 outs, and we trust that you will. And frankly, far more often than not, he was able to get that done. So I would put him back in that role right away. Estevez, 9th inning, okay, fine. The guy I'm looking to specifically is Sam Long, because I was so enamored really with what he was able to do in the back half of last season. I thought he was really toward the very center of the circle of trust when we got right down to it at the end of the year. And he has been anything but trustworthy so far this season. So that's the big concern for me. That's the guy that I look to and say, I want to see him take a step up. I know you've got other arms. You mentioned a number of them, but that is the one I'm looking to because we saw how good his good can be. Now, that being said, we also know, if you know anything about Major League Baseball, relief pitching is extremely fickle, more than anything else in the sport. So, one man's treasure one year might be one man's trash the next. And I don't mean to call him a trash player, but you understand, again, what I'm trying to say. But Long is the guy I'm looking to, especially because he is a lefty. He can offer that to you. One other note real quick before we get back to this. I know Hunter Harvey was an attractive trade option last season. And you didn't have to give up a massive amount to get him. He went on the IL twice with a back injury last year. He's now got the shoulder this year. In the first part of 2024, when he was still with Washington, there was an arm injury. 23, there was an elbow injury. There was a pronator in 22. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure. It sounds bad, though. 21, a lat and an oblique. Like, these aren't even, like, man, he's just got a shoulder, and his shoulder just always gives him problems. He's got in everything. You had an elbow issue going all the way back to 2020. Like, this is every year 1 to 2, if not 3 injuries that has put him on the shelf. That worries me a little bit for a guy that the Royals expect to be part of that core 3, in that 7, 8, 9 rotation.
Yeah, and not clear right away when they're going to get Hunter Harvey back, but he'd been as good as anybody in that bullpen. 7 strikeouts, no walks, and only 1 hit allowed in his 6 appearances, covering 5 1/3 innings.
Not to butt in, guys.
Good start.
Not to butt in.
Go ahead, Spencer Dupuis. Go ahead.
But that was kind of when he went to the Nationals. That was kind of the thing, was he left the Orioles. The Orioles didn't want to retain him because he seemed to have injury issues. So
yeah, I know he was hot shot prospect. He was a
Yeah.
first-round pick, and had the arm blowout. I'm pretty sure he's a Tommy John guy going back to his minor league days. So, yeah, that's a long injury track record, and you understand why you're tantalized by the high-end production potential, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy long enough to deliver it for the Royals. One other name I wanted to get you real quick was Daniel Lynch, who's also carrying a 0 ERA through his first 6 appearances. My guess is that Matt Cotrero will still want to be flexible with Lynch's use and have him be a multi-inning guy more so than just to lock him into the 7th inning ahead of Urseg and Estevez. So I don't think it's as simple as just saying, well, Lynch has been your 4th best guy, so move him up and he takes the role of your 3rd best guy. I don't think that's quite right. I think you're going to see Lynch in those multi-inning, if your starter's out after 5, you need somebody to cover the 6th and the 7th. That's going to be where you see Lynch. Or if somebody's down, you've got maybe Urseg's down and you need somebody to cover multiple innings, 7th, 8th, maybe that's where you see Daniel Lynch. But I think his role is a little bit more valuable as a multi-inning presence than just being a single-inning guy. So, yeah, Zerpa, Schreiber, Long. We've seen some good things from all 3 of them at times this year. Not much from Long, frankly, but they have produced in Royals uniforms, and we're going to need to see it without Hunter Harvey. One other guy who needs to start producing is Vinny Pasquantino. I nodded to this yesterday on the show. We came on after Royals baseball yesterday, their 3-2 win over the Twins. Vinny Pasquantino in 50 plate appearances this year is hitting 178 with a 573 OPS. Now, he's got 10 RBI to lead the team. And that's the whole thing, right? That's how you picture the best case scenario for this Royals lineup is India and Bobby Witt get on, and Vinny drives them home. Vinny almost drove in 100 last year, and if he hadn't gotten hurt, he surely would have driven in 100. I think it was at like 96 or 97 before the thumb injury last year ended his regular season. But I think Vinny Pasquantino's gone too far down a road that is trying to make him a hitter that is not the best version of Pasquantino. I said that yesterday, and then I went and did the digging. Vinny Pasquantino's walk percentage as a hitter, this is year by year. He's in year 4 of his career. As a rookie, he walked nearly 12% of his plate appearances. Year 2 was 9.5%. Year 3 last year, just over 7%. So far this year, it's 6%. That was one of his big tools that made him such an exciting prospect was, hey, he can get on base, he knows the strike zone, and he's almost ut his walk rate in half. Now, what kind of hitter, when he puts the ball in play, what are we seeing? We're seeing him pull the ball a lot more than he did when he came up. He actually pulled the ball just less than 40% of the time he put it in play as a rookie. In his season that got cut short by the injury, it was 41%. Last year it was up to 46%. So far this year, 47.5% of the time he hits the ball, he pulls the ball. And 30% of the time he does it, he hits the ball in the air. Now, earlier this week, we talked about pulling the ball in the air. Those are the most valuable batted balls in baseball. Pulled balls in the air tend to result in hits and home runs more so than any other. They're very valuable. The Royals as a team have dramatically increased how many balls they pull in the air. And league average is he is pulling the ball in the air 30% of the time, but 42.5% of those are fly balls. Only 20% are line drives. And 10% of the time he's pulling the ball in the air, he's popping it up. You know what a pop-up is in Major League Baseball?
An out.
It's an out.
Unless you play the White Sox.
It is an out. So what I am seeing with Pasquantino, what these numbers bear out, this is a hitter who has changed his approach. He's looking for power. He's looking for run production. He's trying to be a hitter that I don't think he ought to be trying to be. I think he is a much more productive offensive player when he is more patient at the plate, when he uses all fields, when he hits the ball on a line. He's a big dude. Power will come. But I don't need Vinny Pasquantino to be a 30 home run guy. I don't. I got Bobby Witt Jr. in front of him who's going to hit 30. I got Salvador Perez behind him who's going to hit 30. I don't need 30 home runs for Vinny Pasquantino. I need him on base. I need him on base for Sal and for Michael Massey and for everybody else behind him. I need him keeping the line moving, if I may use the term. And Instead, I think what we're seeing is a more aggressive version of Pasquantino who's trying to get to pitches that he can drive and hit out of the ballpark, but he's popping them up or he's hitting lazy fly balls. And I just don't think that's the best version of Vinny Pasquantino. I could be wrong. This could be small sample size noise, and some of those pop-ups are going to turn into line drives, and some of those fly balls, when it warms up, are going to leave the ballpark, and we'll be looking at a career high in home runs for Pasquantino. And I'll just to what he looked like he was going to be as a young player, as a rookie. I think that's a more ideal version of Pasquantino as an offensive player than the one the Royals are getting right now.
Do we think this is a Vinny choice or an organizational choice? And I'm not trying to pin blame on anyone, because you're right. I mean, if it clicks at some point, okay, all of a sudden he's a very, very dangerous hitter. But I do wonder if this is potentially, the downside when we talk about the Royals wanting to be more analytically driven. You hire a manager who used to work for the Rays. You've got a front office now that looks at, data more so than feel when it comes to roster construction and even daily lineup construction and all of that. Think this is a Royals initiative? I guess because I don't know. I'm curious because it's so different than the player we expected when he came up.
You look at the team-wide numbers, and that would suggest that it is. As a team, they've increased their pulled batted balls in the air by almost 10%. So it's not just Vinny with a dramatic swing in that direction. But sometimes you get coaching or you get data or you get advice, and it's just not right for you.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is just not quite right for Vinny Pasquantino to try and turn into this turn and burn 30 homer 100 RBI guy. The RBI opportunities are going to be there.
Yep.
You don't need to be king of the sack flies. Like, you know what else drives in a run? Line drives to left field.
Especially when you've got Jonathan India and Bobby Witt Jr. on base in front of you.
Yes. That hard line drives back up the middle. He doesn't use the middle of the field anymore. Like, you look at how often he uses the middle of the field now relative to how often he used it when he came up. He just doesn't use the middle of the field. He's looking to get it out front, catch it in front, turn and burn, and hit for big power. The other part of this, too, is Pasquantino now, I believe, was 2 years away from free agency. That's how you get paid as a first baseman and / DH. Is big home run, big RBI numbers. Yep. I don't know that Vinny's thinking about that necessarily, but I'm sure it's in the back of his mind a little bit that that's what his role is imagined to be. But I don't think that's the best version of Vinny Pasquantino. I want to see Vinny get back to a point where he's using the whole field, where he's getting deep into counts, making pitchers work. Remember, his first year, he walked more than he struck out, and he hardly struck out.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he was going to be a complete hitter, and the power would come. And now it feels like he's selling out a little bit for that power, and that's just I don't think that's the right move for him. I think there are some guys who benefit from certain instruction, like Jose Bautista is the all-time example, right, where they told him, hey, why don't you try hitting the ball out in front? And then he won an MVP and hit a bunch of home runs and had an unbelievable run in his 30s. Doesn't work for everybody.
Yep.
Hitting any instruction, any sports, not one size fits all. So maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, this is small sample size. This could just be noise 13 games in. We could be sitting here at the end of April, and Vinny hits 3 home runs on this road trip, has a 3-homer game in the Bronx, and we're saying, oh, man, we were wrong about Vinny. He's really rolling now. It was just a slow start. But it bears watching, because if he continues to struggle to put up good offensive numbers while still pulling the ball in the air an extreme amount, then maybe it is a change in approach that really doesn't work for him. Tyler points out in the YouTube comments, Vinny knows Jack is coming. Do you see what Caglione did last night down at AA?
120 miles an hour off the bat.
Hit a ball 120 miles per hour off the bat. He's got 2 mammoth home runs already. He's hitting well over 300 at AA. I'm not saying we're going to see Jack Caglione sooner rather than later at the K. I'm not overreacting to small sample sizes, particularly not from AA. But I will say that the scenario in which Jack Caglione makes his Royals debut at some point in 2025, this is how it would start.
Yeah.
This is how it would begin. It would begin with him showing the power and being productive down at AA while Hunter Renfroe stinks, while the offense or the out. This is the scenario upon which we could see it.
Well, and just a final thought on Vinny, too. The optics of it are so much tougher because Caglione is lingering, right? Like, hey, this dude is literally hitting the leather off of the baseball at AA. Meanwhile, Vinny is hitting 4 pop-ups a game. Like, when are we going to make a call? And I'm not saying that the Royals are feeling that way, but you know how reactive fans and media can be. I mean, it makes the optics look even tougher if you're Vinny.
We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, Matt Derrick will join us of ChiefsDigest.com. We'll talk a little football with him next as we continue on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our friend Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider and joins us every Friday at this time on the program. Find Matt across all your social media apps of choice at Matt Derrick. Matt, how deep in the weeds are you on draft stuff now? Are you just 100% draft at this point?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm certainly not as deep as I need to and want to be, but it's one of those projects that for me I never finish. It's just at some point you stop because the draft arrives.
No, I hear that. Matt, this is something that we talked about earlier this week on the show, and I want to hear your opinion on this. We've talked about how the Chiefs have put themselves in a position where they can really take a best player available approach at number 31 in the draft. Setting quarterback aside, because is there any position at number 31 that you would say the Chiefs do not need to prioritize, or a position where it would really surprise you if that was the direction that the Chiefs went in at number 31 overall?
I mean, I think there's just some non-premium positions that would surprise me. So, I mean, if they took a linebacker, maybe a safety. I mean, I can't even necessarily like rule out a tight end because I mean, it's like Tyler Warren, best tight end of the draft, or somebody like that's available at 31. I think you'd have to consider if it's the best player available on your board. But like I said, I mean, if the best player on your board available is a linebacker, probably not. I probably would include guard in that category too, or a tackle that could be a guard, just simply because you're kind of loaded at that position. I mean, you may not know what you have, but you got plenty of prospects. So I don't know if there's really any need to throw any more in the pile there. But otherwise, I mean, running back it would be a question mark because once again, I mean, if one or two players were available at 31, and that was a big if, I mean, I would certainly consider it. And once again, if it's the best player on your board, you have to consider it.
Matt, does it feel like the winds are kind of blowing in the direction of a tackle now with regards to the Chiefs at number 31, an offensive tackle? It felt like early on in the process, a lot of the mocks we saw had edge or defensive tackle, and this is by no means 100%, but it sure feels like more and more we're starting to hear talk about some offensive tackle prospects. Josh Simmons out of Ohio State in particular. Does it feel like maybe the trade winds are headed in the direction where the Chiefs are more seriously considering offensive tackle at 31?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to decide how much of it that is real and how much of it is just, you know, most of the mock drafts that you look at, you know, especially if they're full NFL, full first round mock drafts, you know, these are national writers, 30,000 foot view. So that's kind of their view of the team. And anybody who looks out from outside the Chiefs, the 30,000 foot view, is going to say, okay, this team needs a first round left tackle. That might not be the Chiefs' biggest need, you know, especially in 31. It might not be the best available player. Josh Simmons is an interesting case, and that's the one guy that is just kind of messes this whole thing up because part of it is if Josh Simmons is healthy enough for teams to consider him, I don't think there's any chance he's making it to 31. But then is there a level of his health at which you are so confident in Josh Simmons that you would be willing to trade up to go get him? That's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, he is such an enigma because we really don't know about him. And so then, hey, I know I saw a mock draft yesterday that had the Chiefs trading up to like 19 to get Kelvin Banks. I mean, is that possible? Yeah, but I don't know if the Chiefs are ready to make a jump up the board that big because they would like to get a lot of draft picks. And if anything, I mean, I think there's a scenario where Brett Veach's favorite opportunity might be to move back. If he could pick up an extra pick in this year's draft and maybe a pick next year too, and just move back into maybe early second and still get a player he likes, that might be the best case scenario.
Matt Derrick is our guest. He covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com, and he joins us every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for our Chiefs Insider. And Matt, perfect segue, talking about trading back in this year's draft. You and your guy Nick Jacobs on the 41's The Mike podcast did a live mock draft just the other day. Live show. Definitely recommend everyone go check that out. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, on social media as well. You can find the entire thing. And you guys had a little bit of a trade back scenario. Shout out to my guy over at NFL Mock Draft Database, Denny. He does a great job. You guys ended up trading back in your scenario, still getting Walter Nolan early second round, and then grabbing a Marion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. Obviously, mock drafts, it's hard to predict exactly what would happen, but do you feel like that is a big enough need running back for the Chiefs where Brett Veach might be willing to use a top 40, top 50 pick to address?
Yeah, it's a really good question because, you know, I think that obviously the general perception, and the Chiefs fit into this too, is that in most cases, the first round at least it's not the ideal time to be taking a running back that you don't have a first round grade on. Now, Marion Hampton could be a guy that a lot of people have a first round grade on. So, if, you know, it may not be universal, but there's probably going to be a lot of teams that would say, hey, if he's available in the 20s, and once again, that gets into that tricky thing because, Brett Veach will always tell you that he only has 15 or 20 players with a first round grade. Some teams may have more, some teams may have even less, and this year might even be a less. But hey, if you're able to get somebody that you think is an impact player on your offense early in the second round, I mean, in top 50 even, top 40, I think if you're the Chiefs, you have to consider it, because once again, go back to 2018 when this offense was at its absolute peak. And you can say a lot of reasons for it, but I will still always contend that, and I think the evidence supports it, that the one of the key cogs, and really the one that made the biggest difference, was Kareem Hunt. Because once he was out of that lineup in 2018, you got to see it. That team averaged 7 yards of play with Kareem Hunt on the field. When he was gone, it was 6.5. That's just the difference between 6.5 being a great offense and 7.0 being a historic offense. You put, another player with Kareem Hunt's ability or in that ballpark, similar skill set, I mean, that's, I think, probably the one piece that has held this offense back the last few years, is that they just haven't had a running back of that caliber.
I'm a believer that the Chiefs need a wide receiver somewhere in this draft, not because I think they need an immediate huge impact guy. And now, if they could find one, obviously that'd be great. But when you've got Rice to some degree, plus Worthy and Hollywood and Juju, et cetera, back, that's a good enough wide receiver core for 2025. But looking big picture, I do think the Chiefs need to find at least wide receiver depth long-term in this year's draft. Is there a middle round, somewhere like rounds 3 to 5 or so, where you found an under-the-radar wide receiver you think could be a good fit for this team?
Yeah, I mean, if you start getting that deep into it, Nick and I were going back and forth on this on our last 41 is the Mic podcast about some of the wide receivers, and I think in our mock draft I took Dante Thornton. I don't think Nick is as big as a fan as Dante Thornton as I was from Tennessee, but that's probably the kind of ballpark of a player that would be available there. I mean, if you're really talking about maybe early third and who falls, I mean, I like Jalen Noel. I like Isaiah Bond. I mean, Jack Beck is going to get a lot of attention in that category too. There's some Big 12 receivers that absolutely, I think, could dominate that third round. And I think any of those would be interesting choices. But I'm also with you. I mean, I feel like that the Chiefs, in most years, if not every year, should be taking a wide receiver, because Patrick Mahomes always needs weapons.
The Isaiah Bond name that you bring up, the wide receiver from Texas, he obviously was in the news earlier this week, turned himself in. There was some sort of domestic assault complaint, and I'm not going to pass any judgment on what may or may not have happened. I do not know. We'll find out all the details at some point. The Chiefs, historically speaking, have been willing to take flyers on guys like that, especially who have been through things like that, especially if they fall down the draft board. Bond, you're looking at a guy who I know a lot of NFL draft folks think maybe late second into the third round, maybe a late day 2 kind of pick. Well, with this news now, and who knows what his legal future might be, that could realistically fall to round 4, round 5. Do you think he remains on the Chiefs board, and is he the kind of player the Chiefs might be willing to say, hey, we can work with this because we've done it before?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, and you're right. I mean, most of the cases in a situation like this, the Chiefs' first move would not be to take a player off their board. They would investigate it pretty heavily. I mean, assuming that the player's already on their board, and that's an interesting development in of itself. I'm really interested to see next week how many players Brett Veach tells us, because, usually it's somewhere between 150 and 200. Well, there's going to be well over 250 players selected. So the Chiefs aren't going to have them all on their board. But yeah, I mean, those situations, yeah, it definitely makes you go back to vet it and see what happens. And we know that usually when players like this, if it's like a third round player and they have an incident like this, they're going to fall. So yeah, if you're the Chiefs, then all of a sudden you can get a player like that in the 6th round. I mean, they don't have a 4th or they don't have a 5th and a 6th. They probably have to trade back up into the 6th to get him. But that certainly becomes a player that if you were interested in before and now it's cheap, you might be willing to just even take a chance, even if your vetting is still a little iffy.
We're joined by Matt Derrick here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, non-draft related, the Chiefs had a little player media availability this week for the guys that they recently signed, Mike Edwards being one of them. He was a journeyman last year between 3 different teams. What was one of the things that he kind of took from jumping around team to team last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, at least I think is kind of important for, to realize is just that, not everybody clicks in one spot. We've seen it before. The players have really clicked in Kansas City that maybe, flamed out somewhere else. Mike Pennell, not, working with the Patriots when they were winning, still kind of stands out in my mind. So I think that's a big deal. But I tell you what, I mean, I think an underrated part of Mike Edwards coming back is just his leadership. That is still a really young group. They're not going to have Justin Reed this year. I mean, they need a leader. And, and Mike Edwards, he may not be the loudest guy, but he has leadership capabilities. And so I think it's important to have a guy like that. I don't know if he's going to make the team or not. I mean, there's still a chance that he might, because Chiefs are pretty deep at safety and Mike's getting older. But I think even for the off season, for training camp, I think he's a valuable guy to have around just for that leadership capabilities and working with what is going to be a really, really young defensive back group.
And final one for me, Charles Omenihu, also on that media availability. He comes back on another 1-year deal. Couldn't find anything elsewhere. What do you think his biggest goal is going into this next season?
Yeah, I was kind of wanted to ask him a second question the other day when we were going over this, because one of the things I wanted to ask him about first was just how important were those 9 games last year for him? It's just as far as knocking off the rust and really getting comfortable with that knee and just kind of, because he admitted it. I mean, he said it again that he was not himself in those 9 games last year. You're not coming back from an ACL injury, and teams saw it, and that's why there weren't the offers out there that he was hoping for. But I think, based on my conversations with Charles in the past and just what he has said since he's been in Kansas City, I think you're going to get an incredibly determined and motivated Charles Omenihu this year, because he's going to have a chance next March to be a free agent again at age 28. And I mean, this guy, I mean, he's had some bad luck along the way, some of it self-inflicted, some with injuries, but he hasn't really had the opportunity to really, truly cash in. Next March is going to be his chance. So he has millions and millions of reasons to have a great year, and I think that's exactly where his mindset is.
Matt Derrick is our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. Joins us every Friday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you next week as the draft gets closer and closer.
Can't wait. Take care, my friends.
That is Matt Derrick. We will take one final time out this hour. Come back, wrap up the 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Little on second thought here on 580 Sports Talk to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour. On second thought, I'm back on the Rory coaster.
Oh, God.
My Masters pick, Rory McIlroy, 6 under 66 today, 2 shots back of the lead. It's going to do it. It's his time. But on second thought, every other sleeper pick I gave everybody is going to miss the cut. Sepp Straka, terrible. Big shot Bob McIntyre, terrible. Will Zalatoris going to miss the cut. Not my best year at Masters as a America's leading Masters tout, but I might still could pick the winner. Come on, Rory.
Was he your winner pick?
Yes, he was my winner.
Interesting. That's an interesting call. My on second thought, just to circle things back around to our Royals conversation, I was all in on Sam Long being right at the top in the canopy of the trust tree, and he is actually on the ground. He's like an acorn that fell to the ground. We got some work to do for Sam Long to get back into that kind of territory, I believe, but not looking so good to start this season. Spencer, you got one?
Yeah, I'm back on my Caps to winning the Stanley Cup. They're going to win. They got a win yesterday. Everything's off the back with the OV record, so they're going to win the Cup.
My real quick question for you, Spencer, are they currently leading in points?
Yes, in the East.
Okay. Are they leading all teams total?
No.
Okay,
good,
you're fine then.
yeah.
They got a chance. They're fine. As long as they don't win what is it, the President's Trophy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't want that President's Trophy.
No,
Okay.
you don't.
Yeah, as long as you avoid that, you're fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I've
You know
been there,
what,
done that a few times.
Yeah, you don't want to skate that President's Trophy around. We've got one more half hour of 580 Sports Talk coming your way. We're off at 4:30 for Royals baseball. So in the next half hour, live here at Yager Stadium before the Washburn football spring game tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to hear from the head coach of the Ichabods. First-year head coach Zach Watkins is going to join the program in the final half hour of the show. So stick and stay with us. We're here until 4:30 when we'll break away from some Royals baseball here on 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. Final half hour of a shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and live on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, and Spencer Dupuis. Spencer's up on Huntoon Hill, making sure we stay on the air because Brendan and I are at Yager Stadium, the home of the Washburn Ichabods, who tonight will be playing their football spring game down on the field here at Yager Stadium. A spring football game starting at 6 o'clock, so about 2 hours from now. Some of the players are already out on the field getting warmed up. Tailgate lots already filling in. It's going to be a great atmosphere for spring football tonight, and I know, Brendan, you're very excited about this as you enter your second season as the voice of Ichabod football. It will be the first season with head coach Zach Watkins, who will join us here shortly.
Yeah, I'm fired up about it, man. It's going to be so cool for Coach to get out there with, and he's had ownership of this program as a player, one of the best to ever play for this program as linebacker during his playing days, and obviously as an assistant coach, as the defensive coordinator the last couple of years. But I know he's so excited about it. I know on a personal level it means a lot to him and to his family. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for this program. There's a lot of guys that I'm excited to see out here. Guys maybe got some time sprinkled in last season who I assume are going to play a ton in this game today. It's going to be a real game. We're not just going to have, a couple of drills and call it a spring game. No, we're playing football today.
It's a real film, Jack.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, it'd be a great opportunity to see how the Ichabods look in action under their new head coach, Zach Watkins. And again, he's going to join us here momentarily as we wrap up 580 Sports Talk early. Why are we wrapping up so early today? Once again, it's because of Royals baseball. They're headed out on a Central and East Division swing, and that means we've got a lot of early exits on 580 Sports Talk. We're off early every single day next week. We do not have a full 3-hour show until next Monday. Not next Monday, but Monday after next. But the Royals and the Guardians start at 5:10 Central Time tonight. That means we will break away at 4:30, hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network for pregame coverage. The pitching matchup tonight, I saw him referred to somewhere on social media as Chris the Croatian Sensation Bubic.
Is he Croatian?
I believe he is.
Okay.
Not like born there, but I believe he is of Croatian descent.
Okay.
Chris Bubic on the mound, looking to build on his strong start to 2025. He'll take on Cleveland ace Tanner Bybee. The other pitching matchups this weekend, Michael Lorenzen goes tomorrow for KC against Luis Ortiz, whom the Guardians acquired from the Pirates in a trade this past offseason. And on Sunday, it's an opening day rematch. Cole Reagans and Ben Lively, the pitching matchup. Royals will hope that one turns out better than opening day at the K did. Again, 4:30 pregame, 5:10, the first pitch tonight from Progressive Field. I still call it the Jake.
It's the Jake, yeah.
I still think about it as the Jake.
That's what I
the
call it.
Prague, it doesn't really work. Even though it is next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so you have Prague, Rock.
Yeah, that's true.
It kind of works.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
As a Rush fan myself, I really like that.
Yeah, Rush number one on my Prague Rock leaderboard.
Always, forever.
Anyhow, again, like we mentioned, Zach Watkins, head coach of the Washburn Ichabods, is going to join us here in just a little bit. We did want to touch on, while we had a couple of minutes here, one of the big sports stories of the day in the state of Kansas, and it pertains to sports betting in the state of Kansas. The State House, the Kansas State House, has overridden a governor's veto that would put sports betting potentially at risk. There is a provision in the there was a provision in which I'm trying to think of how to make
so
this
the way it was
possible.
going to work. The governor
pick me up, man. I'm struggling.
No, so the governor had vetoed something that would have allowed the state legislature to essentially end its current contract, the current way that sports gambling is set up in the state, where the lottery negotiates all the contracts with the sports book. The state house, the state Senate and state House of Representatives both knocked that down. They overrode the governor's veto, so now they can essentially kill off what was previously in place. What does that mean going forward? Well, it could mean number of things. It could mean, okay, well, the state legislature, they're going to agree with FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, wherever, and those are going to, they'll stay active. They'll just have a different way to negotiate the contracts. What it could also mean is that we have all of those books go dark at some point when their current contracts end, and then they can renegotiate things. Maybe the state just goes with one. They say, you know what? Sportsbook X is going to be the official book of the state of Kansas, and that's going to be our only provider. There are some states, specifically up in the Northeast, that do things like that. This isn't going to affect, as far as we're aware, like Prairie Band. They're their own thing because they're on tribal land. But it's going to be a couple years till this makes a huge impact. But for now, it's kind of a murky future for sports gaming in the state.
Yeah, I'll let Ryan Butler, who tweets at ButlerBets, have the last word on this. Kansas's move to prohibit sportsbook license extensions does not appear it will force its sportsbooks offline in the next 18 months. But people in the know tell me it's the first step of a move to upend the current model with one that may be less favorable to books and bettors. Less favorable to books may not be a bad thing for the state of Kansas, but less favorable to bettors, that might not be so good for you if you like to get down a bet or two on your favorite sportsbook app. That's big news coming out of the State House today. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Zach Watkins, head coach of the Washburn Ichabods, will join Brendan Dworzynski as we continue on this edition of 580 Sports Talk.
Back at Yager Stadium, this is 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzynski with you on the Buzz Evans Concourse at Yager Stadium as we get ready for the Washburn Football Spring Game 2025, kicking off tonight at 6 o'clock. We, of course, are done with 580 Sports Talk here at the bottom of the hour as we pass things off to the Royals Radio Network. Royals versus Guardians from Progressive Field in Cleveland coming up today. But right now, we are joined by the first-year head coach of Washburn Ichabods football. That is Zach Watkins joining us here at Yager Stadium. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time for us. Let's just start big picture here. Your first quote-unquote game now as the head coach of this Ichabods program. How excited are you to have these guys out here and not just going through the motions, not just doing some drills. We're playing real football today.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. We're going to do a blue versus white scrimmage, and we split the teams up to be as even as possible. And with the new coaching staff and a bunch of new players and, a new head coach, I wanted to make sure we got a game-like atmosphere in before the first game next fall. And selfishly for me, it was also a test run for me to make sure, hey, I kind of know what's going on.
Before we get to the game and the setup itself, because I'm excited, and we'll go through some of these rosters here in a moment, I wanted to ask kind of big picture for you, because I'm sure more and more as days have passed from the day you took over as interim to you got the full-time job to the banquet to all the practices to where we are today, just on a personal level, what does this mean for you? You'll be out there with the whistle, head coach of Washburn on this field for the first time. Just what does it mean to you, to your family on a personal level to be able to take over today?
Yeah, I love telling the stories about it, but, this fall will be 20 years from when I first came here as a walk-on freshman linebacker. And so to be the head coach now after playing, being an assistant, being around the conference as an assistant coach, and now to be the head coach here at my alma mater and really the place I've wanted to be a head coach at, it's really, really special. So I'm going to have a bunch of alumni guys that I played with here, family. The players are going to have a great time. So personal level, like you said, it means a lot to me and my family. My wife and kids have been just love this place, and now to be able to be the one in the direction of the program is really, really special.
And this coaching staff, too, so much new blood coming in this year, guys who are from all over, and we'll get to learn more about them as the season approaches and throughout the night tonight. But for you and Coach Simoneau as well, Dane Simoneau, obviously, like you, one of the best to ever played at his position here at this program. He's a Hall of Famer now this year, which is an incredible honor for him. But for you two guys to be Washburn guys who are from the area, who are local, who have been coaches here for a long time, who are such great players and now taking even bigger steps with this program. How cool is that to have someone like Dane, who you know so well, you guys both Washburn guys who are kind of bringing this program into a new era?
Yeah, it's really cool. Dane's a really good friend of mine. And so is Caleb Cook, our defensive coordinator that also played here with us. And Dane just got elected to the MIAA Hall of Fame, so congrats to him on that. He's obviously well-deserving. But Dane's a tremendous coach, and regardless of our friendship or regardless of if he was here on staff or not, he'd be a guy that I'd call to offer the job to no matter where he was at. So it just happens to be we're both Washburn guys. It happened to be we both played together. It happened to be we were both on staff together previously. But he's a tremendous coach, and he's going to run the offense, and the offense is a fun, dynamic offense. You'll see that tonight. And then Coach Cook run our defense, same thing. And that was kind of building the coaching staff. That was kind of the main goal. Was I did not want just Washburn guys. I did not want just Division II guys. I wanted a mix of former head coaches and coordinators and D1 NFL experience, JUCO experience. And I think we got a really good mix of all that kind of stuff for our staff.
What has the energy been like that you've gotten to feel? Because I know you guys did some awesome social media video stuff going around, handing out the T-shirts and stuff to students and building hype for this game. A bunch of recruit visitors here as well. What has been how would you describe the energy you have felt about this program and about this game tonight?
It's funny because you're in it every day and you feel the energy, and maybe you're partly responsible for creating the energy. But I just walked through the tailgate area and a bunch of fans and is actually going, and but the energy is great. Our players' energy is tremendous. They've done everything right this semester, so I wanted to give them a game that they could play a game in and show their families and show their friends and show their people that this is a true game. And so but the energy of all the things we're trying to do is extremely important to me. I don't want to leave any stone unturned, and recruiting and academics and player development and strength conditioning and community service and all the things that it takes to be in a football program. I'm really trying to make sure, and our staff has done a tremendous job, that nothing has been unaddressed, if that makes sense.
We're talking to Zach Watkins, head coach of Washburn football, ahead of tonight's Washburn football spring game. Again, kicks off at 6 o'clock here at Yager Stadium. Let's talk about the format of this game, because like we said, it's real football. You guys are going to be actually hitting live tackling for a couple of quarters. What are some of the specifics we should be on the lookout for tonight?
Yeah, so we'll go first and third quarter, thud tackle, so we will not go live to the ground. We have some injured guys, some guys who have not able to do live, but we still want to involve them in the game. Second and fourth quarter, we'll go live so we can give the guys that are fighting for playing time a chance to see if they can, make a tackle or break a tackle in live time. Into the first half, we'll manipulate a 2-minute situation, so we'll put time on the clock and we'll announce it on the speaker so fans know what's going on. We want to make sure we get a 2-minute segment in. We'll involve special teams. They'll all be on air, so kickoff and punt and everything else will be on air. We create a nice depth chart, so everybody's going to play. And again, the blue versus white teams have created a lot of competition this week at practice, and we posted the teams on Monday, and all week the energy of blue versus white's kind of been there. And so it will feel like a game to the fans. It's obviously scaled down a bit from certain things, but fans deserve a game. Our kids deserve a game. So I'm really, really excited for tonight.
One last thing I've got for you, Coach, because I know you've got a ton of stuff to get to here before we kick off at 6, and we appreciate you taking the time for us today. From where you guys as a unit, from the true freshmen to the transfers to the guys who have been here for years, from where you guys started during spring practice to where you are today, what would you say is the biggest thing that you've noticed from your group where they've grown or even where they've just meshed together over these last couple of weeks leading into this kind of big celebration to wrap up spring practice?
Yeah, we've obviously gotten better physically in the weight room with our strength coach, Clint Dominic. We've gotten better on the field and in the meeting rooms by learning everything. But to answer your question, I think that the kids know the way we've coached them, the way we've loved them up, is that these guys can win. And we haven't won a lot here the last 2 years, had close games and injuries and all the other things that have gone into it. But I think our guys know that they're good enough to win. They got to keep working to, get where we want to be come fall. But there's a confidence level that has to show up in football that, hey, I can do this. We're able. Our team is able. And I think that's really shown through. I told the guys yesterday, we had kind of a jog through practice that I was really proud of the guys and loved them for what we've done this spring and how far we've come. And I really wanted to give them, and our staff wanted to give them a chance to show that tonight in a game-like atmosphere.
This is going to be a blast tonight. Again, 6 o'clock. Get here to Yager Stadium. It's going to be a blast. They got stuff for the kids, for families. The game is obviously going to be a blast as well. And head coach Zach Watkins taking a few minutes to join us as well. Coach, I know you've got a ton going on. Take a minute to catch your breath before this game tonight, but thank you so much for the time, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, but thank you, and thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for supporting the Bods, and it should be a fun night, so go Bods.
Absolutely. That is Coach Zach Watkins from Washburn Football joining us here at the table as we get ready for Ichabod football today. I think, Spencer, if you're in the studio for us, if you can get 1 minute on the clock here, we're going to take a quick break, 1 minute. We'll get Dan back in here. We'll wrap up 580 Sports Talk before we get to Royals baseball tonight. We'll be back here in just a minute. You're listening to 580 WIBW.
Our thanks again to the coach of the Ichabods, Zach Watkins, for stopping by. Now time to wrap up our abbreviated 580 Sports Talk with a final word. Spencer Dupuis, start us.
Another week through the books. It's baseball season, best season, longest season of the year, I guess you would say. Excited to see what the Royals can do with this long road swing, and excited to potentially see when they move Jack Caglione up to AAA, because you inevitably know that is coming in the next few months if he continues to do what he's done to start the minor league season.
Brendan Dworzinski, give me a final word tonight.
I'm just so excited. What a great, fun way to wrap up the week here. Obviously, short for us, so if you were hating me earlier in the week, great day for you. You get less of me today. But on a serious note, what a fun way to wrap up the week and to wrap up the spring for Washburn football here at Yager Stadium. If you're in town, cannot recommend enough. You come out. It's going to be a family-friendly environment. We see the bounce houses are over there. You're going to get a jump in before you hit the road?
I might get a bounce in.
Yeah,
bounce or two.
We got a couple of different ones here.
Stretch your hamstrings.
It's going to be family-friendly. There's a bunch of other booths and stuff that are set up here. Big thanks to Washburn for having us out today to get to celebrate this. And a number of people have already chimed in on the YouTube comments, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, saying really excited about Coach. It seems like a classy guy. And yes, I will tell you, all the good things you've heard, yes, they are all absolutely true. So I'm fired up about it. I'll be here tonight. Our guy Trenton Craxter here as well, our sideline reporter for Washburn Football Broadcast. He's making an appearance. So hope you guys will all come out and join us. So that's part one of the final word. Part two, Royals. Am I dumb for having really high expectations for this weekend? Like, I feel like this is going to be kind of a statement opportunity for the Royals. We had Tyler in the YouTube mention it earlier, like, hey, Vinny, maybe he's struggling because he knows that Jack Haglione is mashing down in the minors. And this division, it's not quite the Comedy Central, but also I think the Royals were one of those hot teams entering the year. They were one of the, hey, watch out for them kind of teams entering the year. And they haven't really lived up to that to this point. It hasn't been a true, unstoppable, undeniable superstar start for Bobby Witt or anything like that. But we really haven't seen that from a lot of offensive players around Major League Baseball so far. I have an irrational belief that this is going to be an extremely productive weekend for the Royals. I told Mark earlier on YouTube, I'm not backing off my 89 wins prediction, but you got to get a bunch of them at some point. I think the Royals win this series this weekend on the road against Cleveland.
I like how the pitching matchups shake out for them. They got Bubic going tonight. I like the pitching matchups on the weekend. They should absolutely win the Reagan's-Lively matchup on Sunday. They get one of the other two. Any series win on the road is a good one, but especially if it's a series win against a divisional foe. All right, final word for me today. It's one of the great sports weekends of the year because you've got baseball in full swing. You've got the hockey and basketball regular seasons wrapping up. And then, of course, you've got the Masters, a tradition unlike any other. What a great leaderboard we've got at the Masters. Justin Rose is up a shot. Bryson DeChambeau's in the hunt. Rory's in the hunt. And when those two guys are in the hunt, those are the two golfers everybody has an opinion about. Bryson and Rory. You feel things about Bryson and Rory. So have those two guys in stalking distance. Of course, Scotty Scheffler's hanging around. It's going to be an awesome weekend at Augusta National, and I'm excited to watch that. I'm excited to introduce my son to the concept of the Masters Nap, one of the great naps you can take, the Saturday and Sunday Masters Nap. So real excited for that. Going to be a great sports weekend, and we're going to enjoy that. We're going to enjoy some Kansas City Royals baseball. We're going to enjoy that in just a matter of seconds here on 580 Sports Talk as we hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network for pregame coverage. 5:10 first pitch from Progressive Field tonight. It's Bubic and it's Bybee. The pitching matchup tonight as the Royals begin a 10-game road trip with the first of three against the Cleveland Guardians. We will be back with you on 580 Sports Talk on Monday at 3 o'clock. Until then, come on out to the Washburn football spring game tonight. It starts at 6 o'clock here at Yager Stadium. For Spencer Dupuis and Brendan Dworzinski, I'm Dan Lucero. This is So Long from Yager Stadium. Have a great weekend. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.